a disclaimer before we start. I do not think that screens are inherently evil. I think they can be helpful and even extremely necessary. I'm using one right now to talk to you. But I do think that they are destroying a lot of things that matter most to us. Things like our marriages and our parenting, our children, and our homemaking. Speaking of, I know that you did not come to this video to watch me knead bread, but I need to knead the bread because I have a broken stand mixer. Come join me. All right, my hands are wet, so let's get started. I was born in the 90s, raised in the early 2000s. I grew up around TV, but I do remember a time where we didn't have any cell phones in our house and we didn't have any screens in our house. I remember my dad building out our computer room because, we used to have rooms with computers in them. We had dial-up and my mom was constantly on the phone. So for those of you who don't know, when you have dial-up and somebody calls and somebody answers the phone, it kills the internet because it ran off of the phone system somehow. Since I grew up with that, where there was literally no technology in our house besides a TV. We had the tube TV, the big black box, and the massive entertainment center. Yeah, there's a baby crying. Where was I? Yeah, I grew up with, we always had a TV, but we didn't have internet. We didn't have cell phones. I can remember when my mom got a cell phone. I wanted a Razor so bad, and she got one. And then we went from getting internet to a desktop computer to cell phones in the house. We never really had tablets, but we all ended up having like personal devices. A lot of innovation happened in 20 years and we just really didn't know. I think most people know this, but we just didn't know what we didn't know. And now I see the older generation, my parents and my in-laws, really, I think, struggle with screens. And I don't know if they see how bad it actually is. Fast forward to my now, I can definitely say that I really struggle with screens. I struggle with the self-control. I struggle with knowing when to put my phone down. I struggle to have it around and to be productive. I can admit that I am addicted to my phone. Overconsumption has completely destroyed my productivity and my creativity, which overflows into every aspect of my life. I'm going to try to get my baby down one more time. I might have to cut this off. I'm currently getting like 45-minute naps, so that's been lovely. So speaking of parenting, screens have completely changed what my parenting looks like, or the lack thereof. Screens has completely changed my parenting. Screens destroy my patience. And when my patience is destroyed, my anger rises. And when my anger rises, I cannot discipline my children from a place of love. When I'm scrolling, I'm more distracted. I'm less engaged. And let's say I'm watching like a podcast. Let's say you're watching a podcast or a video or scrolling on Instagram and your children are playing in the living room. Maybe they're not allowed to have screens, but like why wouldn't you not be allowed to have screens? You're the adult. And they come up to you and they have a problem or they have a question or they just want your attention. They just want you to look at them. And then I am more frustrated because the dopamine hit that I was getting from that video or that podcast is better than what my children can give me. I'm annoyed instead of intrigued, and I'm really hard pressed to jump to their needs quickly. I start to see my children as an interruption instead of another person in the house who has needs. I notice that when I don't start my day with a screen, I take longer breaks from scrolling or even listening to content, I am more engaged with my children. I'm calmer. I enjoy them more. I can really struggle to enjoy sitting down and playing with my children when there's like a million things to do throughout the day. I'm gonna wash my hands. So screens make me less present. They make me less interested in my real life. We actually don't have a TV. We've never had a TV. That's a story for another time. But since the conception of our marriage, we never had a TV. We have a projector that's not set up like a TV. We can like plug in a movie to it every once in a while. But I can't imagine if we did how easy it would be from the beginning of my parenting for me to have just been having a difficult day and turning the TV on. I 100% get it. Those really hard days, it is hard to trek through. We don't have a TV, so I don't have that option. We don't have tablets, so I don't have that option. I do have my phone, but I ain't giving my kid my phone. And I don't know if we'll ever bring a TV into our home. That being said, I believe since we've limited our kids' screen time, their attention spans might be longer than the average 2 and 4-year-old attention spans. They spend 2 hours happily every day in quiet time. They've been in quiet time for an hour already, talking to himself, just hanging out. And my daughter will do the same thing. She likes to sit in her room and she will read books for 2 hours. If she doesn't nap, she doesn't feel like napping, she'll sit in there quietly. But when we introduce screens again, it's a different story. We do have a movie night here and there, and I think that they might just still be a little too young for it. Not that they can't sit through it, they will sit through a movie. My son, we do have a Switch that he likes to play or gets to play every once in a while. He would like to play it all the time. When we introduce the screens again, the behaviors are like almost immediately terrible. We're taking a break from the Switch because they fight over it. As soon as they're done, he has an attitude. He doesn't want to listen to me. He doesn't want to share with his sister. He doesn't want to go outside. And so we've just decided that it's time to take a break, and he's just not old enough for it yet. And he will get to a point where he's old enough and he'll be able to handle limited amounts and to not have bad behaviors afterwards. But he's 4 and he's just not ready for that. And then if it is an excessive amount of screen time, like when they go over to my mother's house and they watch 2 to 3 hours of TV, it's like detoxing the next few days. The behaviors stick around. If you can get past the point of not having screens, just wait and see what happens to your children. But you also have to be the engaged parent. So screens can keep your kids quiet, and trust me, I do use it. Like I said, we're not completely screen free, but they shouldn't be used as a tool to get your kids to shut up every day because you can't take another minute of noise. That's not a kid problem. It's probably a you problem that needs to be figured out. We have ourselves a last minute creative decision to finish this in my daughter's bedroom because guess who didn't stay asleep? And no, did you stay asleep? You say hi. Hi. All right. So when was the last time that you dreamed with your spouse? And has it been a long time? And why do you think that is? I believe that we're being fed dreams void of our spouse. When you got married and you just thought about like what the future was going to be, and then you hit that future. You either bought the house, you had the kids, you started the business, whatever it was, and then you just kind of like started living every single day life floating, and you stopped dreaming together. What is it going to be like 10 years from now, or 20 or 30 years from now? How do screens play into this? I believe I have soft animals for you. Come here. Would you? No, no, no. So I believe that what we consume shapes who we are slowly, very slowly, every single day. And we're most likely being fed completely different things than our spouse. Sometimes I see what my husband is consuming and I'm just like, I have no interest in anything that you are watching. All of that being said, marriage takes effort, and scrolling doesn't. And the algorithm is feeding you completely different values, completely different philosophies, completely different ideas, and then in the end, completely different dreams from each other. And we just slowly start to drift apart. So that's the dangerous part, is you can make a completely different worldview than your spouse, slowly and over time, becoming completely different people. And you might not even realize that it's happening, but we do need to work on our marriages. We do need to sit down at the end of the day, after working, after putting your kids down, whatever it is, and not just thinking, I need some me time, I need to rest without my spouse. When in actuality, we need to be sitting and talking. Yeah, and talking with them, asking them what they learned, what they're thinking about, so that one day we don't wake up and we find out that we are completely different people. And it's been happening the entire time. We've just not put the work into our marriage to know that it's been happening. And finally, screens tell us that our homes should look a certain way, should feel a certain way. We need to create a home that is eclectic and acquired, or clean and minimal. It's hard to even know what our houses should look like when all we're doing is staring at other people's houses, which is not always a bad thing. You can get a lot of great ideas from other people, but you can also feel stuck when it feels like your house will never look like what somebody else's house looks like. We just start to wonder, like, why even bother trying when I'm never going to have a calm home like that. My house is always going to be in chaos and disarray. So I'll just get the dopamine hit by looking at somebody else's house and then let mine continue to spiral. But homemaking, it's not about what your house looks like. It's about how it feels. The things that a screen will never give you are what your home look like and feel like when your kids grow up and remember, when they're raising their children, when they're talking to their grown families. What are they going to want to take with them, and what are they going to leave behind? Are they going to leave behind everything? Are they going to say, every part of my childhood was kind of trash and I don't want any part of that, so I'm going to go make my own life? Or are you going to be able to acquire this comfortable, inviting, nourishing life for your children and your family and your guests and anybody who walks into your home or lives there? Are you going to be able to make your home in a way that reminds you of what you see on the screen, knowing that it's not always going to look like that? There is clutter and dirt in every single home, but I don't think we should just give up on trying because of the unattainable standards that we see on our screens. So no, screens are not evil, but if we let them, they'll slowly steal the joy out of our life. They'll steal our patience. Like I said, they'll steal our creativity. They'll steal our connection and our joy. I know personally for myself, living with less screens has made me less angry with my children. Even now, when we turn on a movie with our projector every once in a blue moon, it's like a 50-50 toss-up on if I actually thought it was worth it. Like, did I just trade like an hour or two of my time to really get nothing in return, when all I really want to be doing is like reading and learning and creating and thinking and connecting with those around me? And I'm not doing that while I'm scrolling on something that's not providing me any value, or watching a movie that's just not nourishing to my body. Pulling screens from your home, it's not easy. It's harder than it looks. I tried to go smartphone free for a while. I had a flip phone for 6 months at the beginning of this year, and I was constantly picking it up. I even played Snake on it. Like, sometimes I'd be so bored and I would just like feel like I needed to do something. So I was like playing Snake on my flip phone. So getting rid of your screens, it's not easy. And there's so many times in the day where you could just think like, what am I supposed to be doing? I realized that I struggle to function without noise. I struggle to think without noise, which is like counterintuitive. It's hard to get rid of the screens, especially when you're so addicted. But I truly think it's worth it. I have found that I reach for my screens less when I'm creating. I have found that I reach for my screens less when they're just not around as much. I don't desire them when I'm not constantly running to them. For example, the movies, I am like a TV show movie like buff. I love watching movies. But since they're not super easily accessible, I don't find myself longing for them anymore. So, no, I don't think that you have to live without technology, but it's about taking our life back on purpose because I think there is so much with screens that we do on accident. Everybody knows that you pull your phone up to look something up, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need to click on Instagram because I want to look something up. And then you're scrolling for 2 hours and you don't even remember why you opened your phone. Like, if you can't relate to that, please just like click off and go somewhere else because I do that all the time. And I've gotten better about catching myself like a minute into the distraction and then thinking, wait, why did I open this? And then I put it down. And if it comes back to me, then I'll pick my phone back up. But we need to take our life back on purpose and to be intentional. I think we need to choose connection over consumption and choosing to be present in the world that is right in front of us. Thank you so much for watching. And if this resonated with you, I would love it if you could leave me a like or a comment about if you have taken out any screens in your home. And I would also love it if you subscribed. It would help me reach more people so that we can spend more time talking about motherhood, being intentional wives and mothers, talking about our faith, and living life more intentionally. Say bye.